Starting in 1991, when he was first elected to Ottawa City Council, Jim Watson jumped into public life with both feet. He became that city's youngest ever mayor in the 90s before moving into provincial politics. He held several cabinet portfolios in the Liberal government of Dalton McGuinty. In 2010, he returned to municipal politics, where he's now in his third term, overseeing the nation's capital. You'd think we knew pretty much everything about a guy who's lived so much of his life in the public eye. But no, recently the mayor chose to share something that was unknown. He came out. Joining us now for more from the nation's capital, there's Jim Watson. And Your Worship, we're glad to have you back on TVO. How are you tonight?
Great. Thank you very much for having me, Steve. Appreciate
Not at
it.
all, not at all. Coming out of the closet at age 58, I think for many people will feel kind of late in the game. So why now?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I've been asked that a lot since I wrote the piece in the Ottawa Citizen about a week ago. I don't have a good answer. You know, when is the right time to come out? And what I said in the piece was that the last year or so, I've been tossing and turning, thinking about this. I've known that I was gay since I was probably 16 or 17 years old. And I went to PEI this summer for a week's holiday, and I love Charlottetown, but I forgot to rent a car and there are no cars available. So I had a lot of free time because you can only tour Charlottetown so much. And I brought a pad and pen with me, thinking I was going to write this out in longhand. And I've been procrastinating for some time. And I just sat down and it really just poured out. I was quite amazed myself that it actually came out that well. I changed things a little bit the next day, and then I asked the Citizen to publish it, and they're kind enough to do so.
When you were on the verge of pushing send, as it were, did you have any second thoughts?
To be honest, I did just for basically a second or two, but then I said, you know what, this is the time to do it, and nothing to be ashamed of. And, you know, people have been very kind with the response, saying, you know, you're brave and courageous, but I really am not, compared to particularly people who came out in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where it was really tough, and obviously young people who had no supports, like, gay straight alliances or GLBTQ clubs. I was in 4 high schools in 5 years because my dad was transferred. So even if I wanted to come out as a teenager, it would have been a pretty lonely existence because I really had no friends moving into a new school, and there were no supports around me.
Had you revealed this to anybody else along the way in your life?
To 2 gay friends in Toronto, and the only reason I raised it was that another friend of mine had called and said, when people knew I was going to run for mayor again in 2010, and they said some of the people running other campaigns are going to out you. I'm not sure how they were going to do that, but I sought their advice, and they said, look, you should come out when you feel comfortable, and that's what I did just a week ago.
There is, well, let me just put it this way. There's a very sad line in your column that you did for The Citizen, which said, I wish I'd done this ages ago, as many of my friends did. I wonder how unnecessarily sadder my life has been because of it. What do you think you missed?
Well, any kind of a relationship. I think when I got into politics, it was all consuming. I joke with people, they get their money's worth when they elect me because I work, tirelessly because I love what I'm doing. But that came at the sacrifice of really having any kind of relationship. So I wasn't really looking for sympathy. I think what I was trying to say is that, look at, those people who are in the closet and not open about their sexuality, don't feel pressured into it. I don't support these groups that go and try to out people, whether they're public figures or not. But at the same time, don't wait 40 years like I did.
Same-sex marriage, of course, has been legal in Canada for almost 15 years now. And the country, right, I think it's fair to say, has been increasingly, if I can use this term, gay positive for quite some time. So I guess I want to know, what were you worried about by coming out?
Yeah, I guess a little bit of my electability, to be perfectly honest. Would this impact me or affect me negatively as a politician? In hindsight, I think you're right. So much has changed, and the community is so welcoming. And I've been overwhelmed in the last week or so with letters and emails and tweets and direct messages. I would say I said last week 95%. I think it's about 98% very positive. I think I received 10 pretty nasty emails, and that was it, out of probably 600 emails and 1,300 tweets or something like that. So it's been, the people have been, of my community have been very, very kind. I've received letters from people in the Netherlands and Australia and all parts of the United States. So, in many respects, I wish I'd done this sooner, but I've also seen, so many people have written and said, well, we always thought you were gay anyway. So, it was not a big deal for a lot of people in Ottawa.
This did not come as news to many. I mean, after all, I've known you for a while, but I don't think I've ever seen you sort of out in public on a quote-unquote date with a woman. So, this can't have come as a great shock to a lot of people.
No, and people have said that in their tweets, and I got, I think, something like 31 or 32,000 likes. I was just sort of overwhelmed. I thought there would be some impact, and chatter and so on in Ottawa, but it really took off, and I had the opportunity to be in the Pride Parade again this year, and it was really I received a warm embrace from the crowds, and not because I was there, but the organizers say they had a record number of floats and record number of people lining the streets. So it was a beautiful day, and I felt really good, and I was very appreciative of the cheers, and people had made some signs welcoming me to the family or welcoming me out of the closet. And this one young girl had a sign, 40 hugs for the Mayor of Ottawa, and she came over and gave me a big hug, so that was cute.
Huh. Are your parents still alive by chance?
No, they both passed away many years ago.
Did they know?
They never raised it. I never raised it. It was, my parents were wonderful parents, as all parents are, but I think probably they may have suspected, having really never gone on, dates in high school and so on, but they never raised it, and they never pressured me to say whether I was gay or not.
Do you, well, let me just put it this way. I know lots of politicians who have not come out of the closet over the years because their parents are still alive and they don't think their parents would understand. And I wonder whether you are sadder about the fact that they're not around so that this moment of honesty you can share with them, or you're gladder they're not around because it might have been sticky.
That's a really good question, Stephen. I could land on either side of that. My parents, we grew up in a small town in Quebec, like a town of 8,000 people. When I said in the article, when I was growing up, even though I went to 4 schools, I ended up, going from Lachute, Quebec to Beaconsfield to Thornhill to Sarnia. I can't recall ever coming across one single openly gay person or anyone that I thought was gay. So there was not really a lot of ability for my family, at least, to sort of understand the whole, gay situation that right now, today, is so much different than it was back in the 70s when I was going to high school. I think, I've met a number of kids over the last week who are 13, 14, 17 years old, proudly admitting they're gay or lesbian or trans, a lot of them during the parade as well. So it's, I don't profess to be an expert on this. I've been an out gay man for, I think, a week and 1 day. So I'm not one to give a lot of advice. But as I said, young people in particular, I think have probably a little bit easier time coming out because there are those supports with clubs and so many other role models. I mentioned in my article, some of the people I respect in the provincial, federal, and municipal level who have come out over the years and acted as trailblazers for someone like me. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear that the ratio of comments and feedback that you've received has been so overwhelmingly positive, but I don't have to tell you that there are some people in this province and country who are extremely cynical about politics nowadays, and I've actually heard from some of them when they heard that I'd be interviewing you, and one person said instantly, "Oh, I guess he's not running again." Other people have pointed out to me, "Oh, he's made this announcement now to sort of take the focus off the fact that the LRT has been such negative publicity for him lately." Could you speak to that?
Yeah, well, I never decide whether I'm going to run again until sort of, past the midway point. We just got elected 8 months ago, so that's not really a factor. The LRT, actually, we had some, great news. We had the media and politicians on board for the full length of the ride, including under the tunnel, just a couple days ago. So I wasn't trying to overshadow that. I was quite happy about that, and we had the key ceremony And the good news that we're able to announce that on September 14th, we have full passenger service. So, in many ways, I was overshadowing good news, not bad news, because that same week we announced LRT is full steam ahead on the 14th of next month.
Now, having said that,
it's going to be great for our city.
Well, I think the last time you and I got together was on what for me was a very sad occasion, which was the CFL Eastern Final in your town last year.
That's right.
When your team beat my team, the Hamilton Ticats, pretty badly. But you did seem.
Then your team just beat our team just beat our team a couple of weeks ago.
I am aware of that.
We're not having a great year.
It was not a playoff game, though, I hasten to add, so I'm not over it yet.
True.
But anyway, when we talked on that occasion, you were extremely excited about the possibilities for the new LRT, and it hasn't. Let's face it, it hasn't gone quite according to Hoyle. And
right.
For those people who haven't followed the ins and outs of it around the province as much as people in the city of Ottawa have, what's gone wrong?
Well, I think it's like any major infrastructure project that you're building in a built-up area. If this was all a greenfield project, this would have been done, 2 years ago. We're about a year and a half late, which is in line with, Kitchener-Waterloo's. Toronto has a couple of years behind on some of their projects. Boston was 10 years behind. The reality is we had a sinkhole that set us back probably 5 or 6 months right at Rideau Street and Wellington, which was a key area for the biggest station at the Rideau Centre. We had some problems with the trains. I had the president of the company from France come over, and we had a pretty stern talking to get their act together. But now we've passed all of the tests, and we suspect we'll have all of the documentation signed off this week. And we've set September 14th as the date. So, there's been a lot of frustration, but a lot of excitement at the same time, because people recognize that with these large projects, I ask people, when was the last time you renovated your house? Did everything come in, on time? Mm-hmm. Everything's come in on budget because we had a fixed price contract, but we're obviously late by, I think, 450 days.
Okay, second issue on the LRT, and that is, if you and I were having this conversation a year ago, the fact that a subsidiary of SNC-Lavalin that was doing the project might not have raised eyebrows at all. Obviously, the public has a different impression of that company nowadays in light of all of the revelations from the Prime Minister's office, his former Attorney General, and so on. Right. From what I understand, Transit Next, which is the subsidiary of SNC-Lavalin that's done this project, didn't meet all the technical requirements required and yet got the contract anyway. Can you tell us why?
Well, for a couple of reasons. We delegate, we as a council, we establish the process, and we delegate that to staff, and they're given the discretion to use their best judgment in terms of what company is best to build this at the best price. And we had a fairness commissioner that sat through all of the process. The fairness commissioner signed off on every single check mark on the documentation, as did the executive committee of our senior staff. And they brought that forward as a recommendation for approval. And the company's actually been doing a very good job. They've started phase two. Phase two brings us farther east, west, and south, plus a terminal at the international airport. And I have full confidence, as did the majority of our council, when this company came forward. There's no question, I think we're tainted with the company and the challenges they're having on Parliament Hill. But our staff and the Fairness Commissioner signed off on it that this was the best deal, and it turned out to be the best deal financially as well, that saved us a significant amount of money. And
given what you now know about SNC-Lavalin's past, any second thoughts about going with them to do this project?
No, because the management, since the international issues that they were dealing with have completely they've completely brought in new management. As I said, so far in the last couple of months since they've had this contract, they've been doing a remarkable job. You go out by the airport and you see the clear cutting where the train is going to come to our EY trade show complex and then make a loop to the Ottawa airport. So, I've seen no evidence whatsoever that they're letting us down. And in fact, they're doing, actually, our staff tell me, a very good job. But there's no question the politics of that certainly gets played, and that's to be expected. Okay,
we're going to do one other thing that's been in your inbox that has been really very controversial, and that is, and I'll ask our director, thank you, Sheldon Osmond, to bring up a picture of, there's the historic Chateau Laurier Hotel, and on the right side of the picture is the modern addition that the proponents want to put up, I think I'm on safe ground in saying that this has been, there has been virtual unanimity in the hatred that most people have for that design. I want to ask you directly, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I don't like it either. I don't see the picture on the screen, so that there's been one picture that's shown a really negative, a poor angle. But at the end of the day, what we did as a council was we sent back Larco, the owners, 5 times to come back with variations, and the 5th time they came back with what, in essence, we asked for. And then there were some members of council who said, well, we're still not satisfied, we want to vote against that or revoke the heritage permit. You know, the reality is our lawyers have told us that if we did that, we'd end up in court and we would lose, and it would cost us a fair amount, and then they'd have even freer reign to do whatever they wanted. Because a lot of people thought this was a federal building because it's right next to the East Block on Parliament Hill. But it's in fact privately owned, and at the end of the day, private property owners do have some rights as well. But for the you know, I don't like it because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't blend in properly. But as the mayor of the city, my job is also to ensure that we don't get ourselves into a legal straitjacket that ends up costing taxpayers a lot of money. Now, is it going to be the final? You know, they still have to go to committee of adjustment. I called the owner of the company, and he seemed very entrenched, he liked that look, because as you know, Steve, in heritage buildings, you can't go and create sort of a faux Chateau Laurier and just make it look the same. It has to represent the era that it's built in. So there's no question, there's, you know, virtually everyone in the community is not happy with it. I'm personally not happy with it, but the majority of our council felt that we need it. We asked them to do certain things, they did it, and now we're coming and changing the rules again, and that's not fair to them. So, you know, are they going to come back with some last-minute compromise? Who knows? I'd love them to, but I'm not holding my breath on it.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you know, some people have suggested, well, let's buy it. Well, can you imagine the federal government buying a luxury hotel and explaining that to the people of Lethbridge or Vancouver? By the way, we've taken $300 million in tax dollars to buy this. And the other thing you have to remember is that it's replacing a concrete parking garage. That was what was at the back of the building, along with the storage areas for the garbage. So it wasn't exactly a pretty site in the past. But you know, I'm not a great fan of this style of architecture attached to this building. But you know, we do have to follow the laws that are presented before us.
In our last minute, let's finish up with a trivia question here, which is, you just had a birthday last month. Do
Yes.
you know that you share a birthday with a rather legendary political figure, and if so, who is it?
Bill Davis. You know, as a kid in Thornhill, I used to have a TV show, corny name called Youth Viewpoint, and I got this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I wrote to the Premier's office and asked if I could interview him, and Sally Barnes, who was his press secretary, arranged it, and I got this 20-minute interview on camera with Bill Davis, and that was pretty special. I have lots of pictures, and I'm a big fan of Bill Davis. I also share a birthday with Paul Anka from Ottawa, and Tom Green, of all people, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is not from Ottawa. So July 30th was an exciting day, and I saw your tweet and the picture with Bill Davis. I thought that was great.
A good day for you, and a 90th birthday for him. That is quite a milestone.
Yeah, he is a great man and was a great leader.
Indeed. Mr. Watson, it's awfully good of you to join us on the line from the nation's capital. Thanks so much for sparing some time for us on TVO tonight.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
The Agenda in the Summer with Nam Kiwanuka is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.